Ay, it's a new world, gotta adapt to it. Innovation, information, more than the average. Rushing, please ignore the interruptions, cause this is digital discussions.
What's up, everybody? So welcome to another episode of Digital Discussions. Today, I have a new homie of mine on. I'm very excited to chop it up with him. We met through a mutual friend in South Florida while I was traveling down there in June. And the one and only Greg Young, a.k.a. Greg the Barber from Noblemen's Cut and Shave in Flagler Village, man. What's up, Greg?
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me today.
Hey, listen, man. First off, anybody who has a day named after them in South Florida is somebody I need to have on the show, man. So, listen, I'm excited for my audience to learn about your background, learn about you, and I was so inspired just by sitting in this chair for however long that was, a half hour or so. We got to chop it up. And I wanted to spread the good word, man, and add some value to the work you're doing.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. It means a lot.
Tell us where it all started, man. Where did this all start? Give us the background.
So I was born in Jacksonville, Florida. My father was in the military. My father's originally from Brownsville, New York. Queensbridge Projects is where he grew up as a youngster. My mother was from the Delaware area, which was just south of the Philadelphia area. And when I was 1 year old, we moved back to Philly. My parents split, and that's basically where it all started.
So from there, you end up having. I mean, you have a very kind of all over the place past, and you did an amazing kind of 180 in your own life.
Thank you, man.
Have done a lot of stuff to actually help other people who need help to get clean and be productive in society. So tell us about how that. Give me, dude. I want to hear the low. Give me some about the low so people understand where you are today. Because without that.
So. My lowest of my lows, I was barefooted, strung out, and I didn't love myself. I was chemically dependent on alcohol and drugs. I was disappointing a lot of people that were there for me. I come from a military background. My father was in the military for 20 years, tried to do his best to help guide me somewhat when he was there. But, I was that young kid that transitioned to Florida from Philadelphia. I thought I knew it all. I thought I was a tough guy. I had an older brother. I was well more advanced than the average 9-year-old kid in Florida was coming from the Northeast. And over the years, I developed, a lot of bad habits and became strung out. Became very depending on mood-altering substances and alcohol. I couldn't function without it. And as I got older, it just took a wear and tear on my life and really beat me down. I watched my mother over the years struggle with it and put myself in situations that were unsafe for me as a kid because of her wants and wills of what she wanted. And as I got older, man, I couldn't break free away from that demon. And I was broken spiritually, mentally, physically. I've been stabbed. I've been shot at. I've been jumped. I've been incarcerated 15 times. I stood toe-to-toe with some of the most dangerous criminals probably Broward County seen inside them walls downtown. And it took the powers of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, to help me break that cycle. But like I said, man, I was literally rock bottom. I wouldn't even call it rock bottom. I'd say just the bottom of the bottom.
Yeah, you were below rock bottom, man.
Below rock bottom, broken spiritually, mentally, physically, and I say that a lot because every time I look back, I got a file saved in my emails where I go and I look at it, and it's all my mugshots.
Yeah.
And it's a reminder, and I look at myself and I look at those pictures and I say, man, that kid was broken. I had no direction on life. I didn't understand life in life terms. I had no clarity. I didn't love myself. I thought life was this thug life shit. Like, that's just what I knew, what I experienced. And, you know, for many years, my father was in and out of my life, mainly because of me as I got older. I didn't understand why he wasn't around when I was younger, but as I got older, he tried to play that part, but I wasn't having it. And
you pushed him away, like resented maybe like your past with him and whatnot, and didn't let him in, kind of pushed him away.
Exactly. It bothered me so much to where I didn't even realize what life was about, because what I experienced witnessing with my mother, what she did behind doors and hiding them from my grandparents and my aunts up north, to coming here and then watching her fake it again.
Yeah.
And then this guy coming in like, I'm your dad, it's this way. And I was just so confused, and I was on medication. There was a lot that was done to me as a child. And then I was placed in this position to where it's like, oh, snap into it. Now it's time to live life right. I had no idea. And I tell you, man, once I did get sober, it opened up a lot. It presented so much clarity to me that I would cry just out of joy of like, yo, I'm living, son. The kid is living. Like, yo, this is what's up. But the hardest part was in the very beginning was I was starting to feel all these feelings that I never felt before.
Yeah.
Well, not that I never felt before, but I would literally just numb those feelings real quick with, you know, a drug or a drink. And
yeah, I mean, so you know, listen, a lot of what you say and a lot of your story resonates with me. You know, my audience knows that I grew up in a like your typical American family, had a great childhood. My mom suddenly passed away from cancer when I was in my early 20s. My life changed drastically. You know, I was always running with different crowds, and at that time, you know, after I kind of lost my North Star, I kind of focused on, you know, some of the uh, just let myself. I had an excuse, you know, to let myself go, and I felt sorry for myself, and I ended up, you know, in some bad situations and hit rock bottom for myself, and always drank a lot, you know, and through that period was drinking heavier than ever, and you know, went through some of the things you went through, not to the extreme by any means. And even just looking back at myself at those times, you know, I don't recognize myself in a lot of ways. And, you know, that's part one. And then part two is like, I just got a call from somebody in business that's like, you know, Jay, I'm struggling with like deals dying and things of that nature. And, you know, how do you get through all of those things when it's tough for you? And I answered him, I said somewhat jokingly, I'm like, yo, alcohol, you know, like in the early part of my career, man, that's what I would do. Like I would literally like blow off steam by just going out and drinking and partying and, you know, just not worrying or focusing so much on the shit that I was up against, and I would just kind of numb that, like what you just said. Um, so you know, it's crazy for you to go from such a numb state, you know, running the streets, just doing what you were doing, to becoming this successful business person, family man. So when you look back at those mugshots, do you recognize yourself? Is part of you still there?
it's crazy too. Yeah, man. I look back at those mugshots and I'm like, wow, man. Like I always get, you know, I get the shakes inside my body. Like it pumps me because it's like, I want to reach through that screen and like fix that kid at that moment.
Yeah, man. But you fixed that kid, man. You ended up. And by the way, like I'm sure you show up to your first AA meeting, and you're probably like, you know, this is a joke. This isn't gonna work. You know, tell me about that process. And I never went there. I cleaned
So
myself.
it's crazy, man. So I've done AA meetings before leading up to this, but they were inside the walls. You know, they were in the joint. So like, for some reason, every time I got back out, it's like the devil had a hold of me because I would completely forget that, yo, there's a thing called an AA meeting I can go to and I'll get some support. Completely forgot about it.
It's really like part of the system to you, right? So you're like, I'm inside now. I kind of have to do this. And are you like
That
laughing
too.
through it type thing? Like you're just going at just to go, but you're not like really at the point that you want to help yourself. Because until you help yourself, it's pointless, right?
Yeah, because also I was court ordered to that program inside the joint where I had to go to those meetings, and not only that, it was an opportunity for you to get out of the hole. You know what I mean? So like, I can go sit down and see an outsider and just stretch and do something. I'm not in a box. Anyways, when I would get out, I always went back to what I knew, and that was the street. That was the fast life. That was where everything was at. Where I knew where I felt that I could survive better in that situation. And being in a world in an area where I didn't know, and my wife today brought me to my first meeting years ago, because my wife had a lot of history with it leading up to it. God bless her, because she's got 5 years sobriety today.
Wow.
Well, not today. I'm sorry. She's got 5 years, but not on this date.
Right. That's amazing.
She took me to my first AA meeting, and that's where I really developed. They call it a home group, where you meet. You know, you go into a meeting, you pick up your white chip, and you surrender that day. And best day of my life, man. It was a 7 a.m. plantation meeting in Plantation, Florida, which is just west of the city here, about 15 minutes. And
how long ago?
This was a little over 7 years ago. So July 7, 2013 is when I had my last drink or mood-altering substance. And that's when I tapped out. I surrendered, and I walked in there, and they told me to shut my mouth. Excuse my language. They told me I don't know shit. If I want to win and I want to live, to do what I'm told and shut the fuck up. And I did it.
And then, that time is finally actually like it sunk through, right?
Yeah.
It got through, you know, but you needed to like do what you were doing to get to that point where you were willing to actually listen. Like you wanted help at that point.
I wanted some clarity, man. And I realized that like the only time I ever had clarity is when my freedom was taken from me. And that was the only time that I was ever really able to think. And I would look back on what I was thinking and remember some stuff. And I always wanted to be better than what I was. I always wanted to change what I was doing and who I was, because I felt like that wasn't what I was built for.
Yep.
And getting sober, man, and developing that clarity one day at a time really gave me the strength and the willpower and the belief in myself to where I loved myself again. And then I started to work on myself again. And then I started to realize my character defects and how I can better myself. And then like this entrepreneur in me just came out of nowhere. But I believe it's just, I'm a natural born hustler. Like, yeah, we jumped off the porch early when we were young. You know what I mean?
And
so
by the way, it's all about like where you're directing that energy. You know what I mean? Like you were hustling on the streets and doing what you needed to do to make ends meet by any means necessary. The business world is like the fun, legal way of doing it, right? Like you start
yes.
all of a
So
sudden,
much fun.
so much fun, right? So, you know, let's talk about that, because, you know, one of the best things about what I do is I get to meet people like yourself, and I get to understand them as humans, and then their businesses, help them expand. You know, that's really what I spend my time doing, and that's why I love what I do. So when I met you, you know, by the way, like you gave me my first quarantine haircut, man. Like I came out of New York where, you know, the world was coming to an end. Mark hooks us up. You did me a solid, brought me in, and by the way, you have an amazing barbershop, which is like, you know, a hub in a community. A barbershop is always like a hub in a community. And
That cornerstone.
that's it. And from there, you're doing so much good out of that, you know, and we'll get into, you know, the foundation that you have and whatnot. But tell us first, you know, bring us to where you decided that you were going to be a barber and cut hair, and how you were going to do that.
So basically, in 2005, I was incarcerated for the whole year. And when I got out, towards the end of the year, it was about 9 months in, I landed a job in the culinary industry, scrubbing pots and pans. Ended up on the line quick, making pizzas at Carrabba's.
Okay.
Older brother put me in the game. And from there on out, I worked at restaurant after restaurants. I hopped around because it's a party scene, man. 11, 12 o'clock at night, shops, restaurants closing down. Where are we going? You know, we're going to hang out. That's where we're going. And eventually, man, I looked at one of my culinary chefs and I said, chef, man, what are you going to do? I can't do this forever. Because I knew what it was doing to me. At that point, I knew I was hustling. I was working in the restaurants. And I was just too close to what was dangerous for me. Yeah. And I knew I needed to get away. That point, I started to get a little bit older. You know, I was older than 21. So I was starting to understand a little bit of things in life. And I was like, what do I want? And my chef told me, says, Greg, whatever you want, man, you better go to school now. Because life will pass you by. Figure it out now. And that put in my head what my old man used to tell me all the time. Greg, you got to get a trade, man. You're a convicted felon. You don't have an education. What are you going to do? You got to get a trade to survive. And I always had this obsession with barbershops. We used to hustle in them. We used to watch sports in them. Yeah. And when you leave the barbershop, you feel good.
Yeah.
Me, deep down through everything that I was doing and going through, and I can carry on about all the hustling stuff, but I had that spot in me that always wanted to make people feel good and just make a change in their day if I could. And I realized that not only am I going to make triple in a week what I would make in the restaurant industry, in the barbershop, but I'm also going to be able to pick the brain of somebody that comes in, and I'm going to be able to make up for all the time that I lost being in the street, being in jail, because I'm going to be able to attack that person's brain and learn from them. And that's what I've counted on to this day. Like I'm able to ask questions to all different people from all different walks of life, from all different industries, and just apply that to my daily life. And that led me towards that's how I ended up getting into the barbershop industry.
So you ended up opening up your own shop, Noblemen?
So transitioning from the culinary scene, I was going to barber school at night, and it was still a struggle for me then. I got popped with a DUI. I have a criminal background, so I was a little freaked out because I know every time I come across the court documents, these prosecutors want to try to take me off. So I threw $6,000 down the drain and hired a top-notch attorney when I didn't need to, and that put me in a bigger hole. I lost my vehicle. I ended up losing a relationship that I was in, and I was back and forth, moving back to my father's house for the time being. And that was pretty much one of the pretty dark stage of my life. Not to mention, previous to that, I was on and off the streets homeless. Yeah. There was times where I was barefooted, sleeping in laundromats inside trailer parks, to sleeping in abandoned buildings, sleeping in a car that I had, getting out of jail to the streets with nowhere to go. And not to get lost there, but let's get back to
No, I think that's important because really, you know, what I want to get to and what I think is so special about who you become as a person is how you know what it's like to be in these positions, right? And it's one thing to clean yourself up and you know, be selfish and only care about yourself and your family, but you started a foundation now, and you're going out and you're cutting homeless people's hair. Tell us about the foundation, because you know that's really what these people need to understand and what we need to support and put, you know, some funds and resources behind, so you can grow this thing a lot bigger than it is now and really help people get off the streets.
All right, so the goal is to grow the foundation in different chapters in different states all across the country. In April 2000,
the Backpack Barber.
The Backpack Barber Foundation, yes, yeah. I'm sorry. The Backpack Barber Foundation was founded in August of 2017. And August 2017. What I do is I hit the streets and I provide backpacks with toiletries and hygiene products, as well as haircuts and compensation. So when I opened my own shop in April 7th, 2016, I knew then that I had a platform that I can ride on. I own my own business. I have a really good business partner who holds me down. I knew then I could start to get involved with things that I've always wanted to do, because where I worked at before, people didn't care about the community. They didn't care about it. They cared about that dollar. And that's not me. That's just, I wasn't built for that. And sobriety really brought that out. And what I was doing was I was going out a lot, doing these services for the homeless community. And I was very quiet about it for over a year. And
quiet about it. Why? Because at that time you were just doing it for yourself, maybe.
I was doing it just to be kind, man. I wasn't doing it to be like, oh, look what I'm doing, or this and that. Like, I wasn't really pressuring anybody to encourage them to do it either, because I felt like I would be wrong if I did that. I was just trying to I was trying to give back to the streets because I did so much bad out there.
Yeah.
So I was trying to give back and make it I was trying to make it a better place. I was trying to make my community a better place. I became a father. I started thinking about my children. How can I make it a better place for them? All these feelings flowing in together. And I'm like, let me use the gift God gave me. It's not going to hurt me to cut someone's hair. I cut hair in a joint for a honey bun. Like, it's not going to hurt me to cut hair out here for nothing. Like, so that's when I connected with a couple dudes, and they just told me, they're like, look, man, you need to create an organization behind it. You go out with your backpack already, call it the Backpack Barber Foundation. And that's when it really, boom, it took off from there. I started sharing some of the ideas with my clients and my friends. Some of them became board members. Some of them became consultants, committee members. And that's when we started to really develop the storytelling and trying to showcase that so people in the community can see that maybe there's a way that they can give back through their talent somehow, whether it's cooking or so be it, whatever it is. I always wanted to give back but didn't know how. I didn't know where to start. And that's what made me say, man, I really got to launch this, because there could be somebody out there just like me that was in a similar situation that just doesn't know how to give back. And now they may see this and give them a little bit of positive hope. And
I love when you say, like, you say, giving haircuts, and then you always throw in conversation. And that's
very important.
the magic, man. I like the conversation part is like, if somebody is struggling with something, and the way that, with you, obviously, is the minute that you walked into an AA meeting, didn't click the first time that you were in one of those meetings, but a seed was definitely planted in your head, right? And I feel like thoughts and conversations become those seeds that ultimately grow and can actually help somebody go from the bottom, to actually picking themselves up. So you have a story of like any individual that you cut the hair of that you actually changed their life?
Yeah, there's a couple. There's actually a gentleman. So every prior to COVID-19, every Wednesday morning from 9 a.m. to 11:45, 12 o'clock, I would sit in front of City Hall in downtown Fort Lauderdale and provide haircuts for the homeless. So community court is what was created by the chief of police and the head judge of Broward County judicial court system, Chief Judge Tudor. It's a courtroom, basically. It's not a courtroom where you go to jail. It's a courtroom where you walk in. It's a big open room, and aligned on the walls is a bunch of organizations that are there to help uplift someone that's experiencing homelessness and try to make it a better situation for them, to try to get them out of the streets, whether it's county detox that the judge can order and stamp that day, that the police officers will drive you right there and they will take you in. Normally, you can't just walk in there. There's a waiting list. But the judge can move you in right away because you're in community court, you're asking for help, and you want to change. How do people end up in community court? It's a process. Basically, they're issued a citation in the street. It's called what is the name? It's a ticket that they get that gets them in the community court, where then the resources can help them, whether it's DMV giving them identification, whether it's a social worker that's helping them obtain their birth certificates and their social security card that can help them get to where they're at, whether it's a detox facility, a halfway house, a haircut. So what I did for a year and a half was I shared my experience, strength, and hope with these guys while giving them a haircut and encouraged them, hey, it's okay to walk through those doors and admit that you have a problem. It's okay. When you're ready, you can do that. I'll support you. Like, I know I've been there, and I've had guys break down right there in the middle of a haircut and start crying and want a hug and this and that. And I understand that, because when you're broken and you're at that level, it's no joke. It's very hard, and it's hard to have hope when you're in these streets. Hope it gets you messed up out there, and
You feel like, you feel like nobody gives a shit about you. Like, you're past the point where people don't give a shit if you're dead or alive. Like, it makes no difference, right? Like, you just check out.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've done haircuts on guys in alleyways behind like churches and stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 o'clock at night, and guys just bawling out, crying to me because they're like, dude, I haven't been touched, spoken to, or looked at in years. I've had guys tell me they've lost their family in car accidents where they just don't want responsibility. They don't want help.
Yeah.
And that really made me realize just how important that conversation is. I mean, it can take a mental toll on you.
Well, it's also they could see through you that it's possible. Like, you are the hope, like, you've been through it and actually came out the other end and are a successful business owner, family man, dad, husband. Like, you came out the other side of it, and it's not going to resonate with somebody that's at the bottom from somebody who's never been there. Like, that just is not going to, you know what I mean? It's like easy for you to say.
Absolutely. And another thing is I got this phrase that I always say, and a lot of my supporters, friends, family, and clients and stuff, they love it, and they mock me on it, and they do it in their posts. It's, remember, if nobody tells you today they love you, Greg the Barber loves you, baby. And I say that a lot when I'm out there and I'm interacting with these folks that are at a disadvantage and homeless, because when's the last time somebody told them they love them? When's the last time somebody showed them that they care? When's the last time somebody told them they still have an opportunity in life? And that goes back to me saying, when you're out there, it's really hard to have hope. But that doesn't mean you can't have it. Hope it gets you in trouble, but if you're not trying to work your way from out there, it's a dangerous game, man. It really is. There's a lot of things out there that are done that aren't brought to the light, that a lot of people don't see, you don't hear on the news. And if you're not out there giving back, you won't probably ever hear about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's, it's also so interesting because, for me, like, if I'm feeling down or negative on anything and I go get a fresh haircut and I'm looking crispy after, like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Feeling great.
For me. And I have to keep, like, I always have to keep it tight, and it, like, just lifts me up, man. Like, I feel much better about myself, and I can actually help other people, when I'm feeling good. I always say, and I say this to my family, that, sometimes putting your oxygen mask on first on the airplane is done for a reason. It's not selfish. It's like, I can't help my wife and my kids if I don't have oxygen. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that analogy has always resonated with me, that if my cup's not full, I can't pour from it and fill other people's cups. And, I think that's why it's so important that
I like that.
It's the truth, and people don't really understand. Like, there's a big difference between, focusing on developing yourself to be able to add value to other people. And a lot of the people that I hang out with and I associate with at this stage of my life are all about that. It's about, like, really being in a place that you feel good enough to provide value to other people and help other people. Like, that's what it's all about. And that's why I wanted to have you on, because I commend you so much for what you're doing. And I told you that I figure out a way to get involved, to make sure we do this, to make sure that I can get some of my people who understand how to take a foundation and take it to the next level. I want to make those connections, and I want to help in any way we possibly can, and start by, just getting the word out there. I'm going to put the information. We have a section for, the good work that we do at Sabre on our website, our new website that just launched last week. So we got to get up there, and we got to share that. And I want people to learn more about you, about your business, and, about how they can give back and how they can join the foundation, because, I got a lot of my homies are cutting hair, man, and doing the damn thing, and uplifting the community as a result of it, man. I was kind of
there might be a chapter coming near them, so
exactly, that's what I'm saying. Listen, I stood in the mirror with another mirror behind me, bro, like this, for half quarantine, just shaving my own back. I am not a normal person, and everybody knows.
So that's one of the main reasons why I got involved with the hair industries. I'm able to make an immediate impact in someone's day. I'm able to bring someone in my shop or go into the streets and cut a homeless person and make them feel better.
Dude,
somebody could walk in my shop and have a bad morning. With
absolutely. Listen, that's. I don't mean to cut you off, but I want to remember when you said, that for the first year or so that you were doing it, you just did it for yourself, and nobody really knew you were doing it. And you didn't want people to think that you were doing it for the credibility or the credit that you were getting as a result of it. But you have to flip that thought to the more light that you shine on what you're doing. And I said to you, I'm like, dude, you need a vlog. Like, you need a videographer that's filming you doing that, so people like myself, when they learn about you, can go somewhere and see you at the courthouse on the steps cutting some dude's hair, and him talking about, the fact that he's getting a haircut before he shows up in court. And dude, he's going to have a whole different mentality and approach to actually, trying to really latch on to the hope that's inside him, feeling good about, you know what I'm saying? Like, dude, the before and afters of homeless people and haircuts, and I've seen a lot of that stuff. It's crazy, man. And
wow.
And you see somebody look in the mirror, like, for the first time after they haven't seen their face, like big beards. And dude, that stuff it's crazy. It's crazy.
Emotional.
It's crazy. And honestly, like, you need to do that stuff, because that feeling that anybody would get from seeing what you're doing firsthand is going to cause them to want to be involved. Like, and it's not selfish, dude. Like, don't look at it as like, hey, I'm not looking to be famous as a result of what I'm doing. But dude, if people don't know what you're doing, they can't put money behind the cause. They can't rally behind the cause. You have to do it for them.
So real quick, what really pushed me to going in that direction of what you're saying, which is powerful, was I was watching the ESPYs one night, and can't remember the exact date, but it was Jim Kelly speaking, battling his second term of throat cancer. And bro, he had me in tears.
Yeah.
And he was speaking about being a difference maker. And that's what I want. That's what I focused on for, and I still do, but for so long it was like, how can I be a difference maker? How can I affect this community in a positive manner? Because it's bad. Like, they're struggling. And then I seen Chris Long, NFL football player for the Philadelphia Eagles, speak about his mission statement and his mission of bringing water out of the country and helping those that are in dire need, and spoke about how it's important to showcase that so others can see, so others can get involved, and you can have a bigger impact. And once I heard that, it was really, my wife was sitting on the bed watching this. I seen teary eyes and stuff, because it was very movable time when he was speaking about it. It was very important, because I felt like that right there was, not to sound all crazy or not, but I felt like that was like a calling to me, like, hey man, tighten up, get this going. What are you slacking for? What are you waiting for? You're given this talent. Go create, go help these people. Like, that's when I was like, yo, let me put this work in. Let me apply pressure, because that's one thing that I've always slacked off in. If I don't apply myself and apply enough pressure, I don't get things done. But I know when I apply pressure, I'm a beast. And that's what I'm like, yo, I just need to do this. And man, it's important, man, to storytell and show that stuff so other people can see it and maybe either get involved or share it with somebody else that can do the same thing. It's what we're here for. I'm never going to end homelessness. I'm aware of that. But I'm going to put my full effort into helping put a dent in it, helping support other organizations that are trying to end homelessness, because we're all in this together. Like COVID-19, we're all in this together. This is a time where we all got to come together and try to support one another in organizations and facilities and homeless shelters. And that's what my organization is going to do. So.
And I think it's honestly, it's more important than ever now because, man, there are so many more people than even normally that are struggling and you know, financially and keeping a roof over their head and, you know, all that.
Man.
It's only getting worse. And, you know, again, it's so important that, that, you know, you have what you need to spread the good word, you know, as far and wide as possible. And there's only so many haircuts you can give in a day, bro. You got to earn a living too. So, you know, it's there's strength in numbers, and the more people that get involved in some capacity, the more of a difference everyone can make.
Well, last year I did over 500 haircuts just at community court alone for the year. That's not including other events that we did with organizations and facilities.
Do you have any video, any stuff?
Yeah, videos all over that. I've had the news come out several different times, newspaper articles, and then on the page for Instagram and Facebook, it's the Backpack Barber Foundation. There's a lot of posts on there that you can see and check out all the videos. And we're working on bringing on a YouTube channel. We just finished building out the rest of the board. We got a marketing chair. She's incredible. Her name's Erica. She's got great direction. She's very well connected, understands charity. She's going to teach me a lot, I'm sure. And I'm excited because I'm at that level where I want to delegate things, but I want to learn and experience the things that I see all these other organizations doing. For me, it's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, link me up with her too, because I think we could help from the media standpoint, you know, and just getting the word out there and some connections. So I'd love to connect with her. So we'll definitely do that. And then obviously we'll post everything, your Instagram, you know, the business and the foundation here so people can view it on all the platforms. And before we wrap up, you know, I met you last week in June or second to last week in June, whatever it was, man. And, you know, I think 2 weeks from when I met you, your day, July 7th, right? Or July 7th.
July 7th, brother.
Was a few weeks after that, man. And so tell everybody about, you know, July 7th and what it means in the community now, man. You should be extremely proud of where you've come.
So, R.I.P. to one of my childhood friends, Mac Dota. He was a big advocate for my organization. During quarantine, he took his own life. He was a big advocate for the Backpack Barber Foundation. He pushed it to the doors of the county commissioners. And Mark Bogan, Broward County Commissioner, researched my organization and myself, and he was really really excited to bring me in and name a day after me. Not only that, this man went to the measures of giving me the day on my sobriety date. So he named a day in Broward County on my sobriety date, which is July 7th. I got sober July 7th, 2013. July 7th, 2020 was the first Greg Young Day in Broward County. And man, feeling, what an incredible feeling to see, even through COVID, to see the support, the love, the genuine support from people. And now what we're doing is, as an organization, our board, because we're restricted, we're not doing any haircuts right now in the streets. It's very dangerous right now. I have to protect myself, my family, my clients, my staff. I'm not going out there to risk any, COVID. But what we are doing is we're stuffing over 1,000 bags with toiletries, hygiene products, masks, sanitation items, sanitation wipes, and we're going to donate those to certain facilities that are in the same fight we are with homelessness. They need our help. This is a time, like I said before, where we all got to come together, and that's what we're going at right now. So within the next few weeks, you'll probably see a lot of marketing material of the organization popping up in different locations, dropping off hundreds of bags to these organizations because they need us right now, man. They had to.
And listen, if people are interested in how they can support that, how they can contribute to that, can they just reach out to you on Instagram, DM you, or what's the best way to?
Yeah, they can reach out to us on Instagram, DM. Right now, the website needs to be tweaked a little bit. Some reports aren't coming back when we're expecting them, like people trying to connect with us. I don't know what's going on there. We're looking into that now. So what they can do is just hit us on the Instagram. If they want to support, it doesn't always have to be monetary. They can send I got a guy right now, a client that had his brother send 1,000 masks from New Mexico to my shop. Those masks are going in the bags. Yeah. Right now, what we're also looking for sanitation wipes, because from my experience being in the streets, man, being homeless, I've seen guys drink hand sanitizer. So we're not putting those in the bags. We're putting the wipes.
Wow.
Shampoo, soaps, deodorant, toothbrushes, stuff like that. Hygiene is very important to battle this COVID. These organizations, these shelters, Broward Partnership, which is located right here in downtown, 3 blocks over from my shop where you were at, we do a lot of work with them, and they're a great organization. They have one here and one in Pompano, which is just north. They need these items because since COVID, they had to spike up their sanitation.
For sure.
So they're running through more things more. Hope South Florida, Salvation Army, those organizations are all in the same mission. They're pretty much aligned with our mission. We're going to drop some stuff off to Jack and Jill, which is a children and family center, which is a great organization I didn't mention today. But during this whole COVID thing, they were doing food drives, and I was able to volunteer with them, which I love because that organization, I cut the children's hair.
Yep.
Every first Monday of the month, and the young kids up to the age of 5, I bring a volunteer in on behalf of the organization or Jack and Jill, and they read them a book while I cut their hair. Wow. And then at 3 o'clock to 5:30, I go to the school center of Jack and Jill, and the kids got to read me a book while I cut their hair. But that organization is incredible. I praise them every time I get a chance because, man, from the mission work that they do to the people that are aligned in that organization that volunteer and work for them, are just incredible people. And they did a food drive during the whole COVID. I was able to help them out, and me doing that work helped keep me somewhat sane during this whole COVID because my business was closed for 2 months. I had no income coming in. I got a wife and 2 kids. My wife's a stay-at-home mom, so it was very scary. We're gonna be dropping some bags off to them too, and hopefully that can go towards like the parents of the children, because they do a lot. They do a lot of counseling as well with the families. Great organization, Jack and Jill Children Family Center. And yeah, man, that's where we're at right now. Just trying to change the world one haircut at a time and one conversation at a time.
I love that, bro. Listen, I mean, this has been great. I really truly appreciate meeting you, and we're gonna.
Same here, brother.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm going to put up on our website, too, under Saber Cares. We're going to put some information on the foundation so people know where to find it. And I'm going to circle back with you so we can get involved and get some of these things into the people's hands, add some value there, whatever we could do to help. And then on the marketing front, too, man, I got you.
I appreciate that. I want to mention something real quick. I'm also in the process right now of launching a men's hair grooming line, and there'll be proceeds from each sale of each item going towards my organization. The brand line is called Noble by Greg Young, and just wanted to put that out there so people hear and look forward to seeing it, and just know that when you purchase a hair pomade or a gel, shampoo, conditioner, whatever it is, you're also helping someone in need, lifting them up and giving them that helping hand.
I love that, bro. Well, listen, man, talk about a full circle, amazing story. Keep up the great work. Keep doing what you do. and I appreciate you taking the time, bro.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate you having me on, man. Stay blessed, all right?
Cause this is digital discussions.